Hey folks, hope everybody's doing well. Today I wanted to talk about Gene Key 22. You're getting some framework here of me on my hey bike, going through Silver Springs State Park when I was there a few weeks ago. So enjoy this little ride along the water and through the woods as I talk about Gene Key 22. Again, human design and the gene keys. Google about it. It's really interesting. I explained in another video what it is to a degree. I don't know much about it. It's very complex stuff. But anytime I catch wind of my weekly audio that my friend Shamani provides me, if it really hits home, I like to share it and put it out there and give examples as to um, why it's important to me, so on and so forth. Again, Richard Rudd is the one who puts this on. He's amazing. I'd like to see him in person. This guy's awesome. He's the one that constructs this stuff and kind of like helps unpack it for people. Um, the gene keys, and one thing I didn't mention in my previous video about gene key 53 I talked about, I don't recall, but is all about the gene keys. There's a shadow side of it and then there's a light side of it. So light and dark. Once you get over the dark, then you come to the light. So the 22nd gene key goes from dishonor to grace. It's all about human suffering. It's the real divine feminine. It's about the healthy feminine, not the feminine, push of this new age feminine that we're getting around the world. It's not about that. This is about the true divine. And so a little bit about the dishonor part of it, the struggle about the gene key. And again, I relate to a lot of this. I took some notes. It's my own interpretation of this stuff. So I want to share it as accurately as possible. So a couple things about the dishonor part, the 22nd gene key. There's awareness deflection. Here's a couple of talking points. Trying to be in the present naturally can interfere with the natural cycles of the shadow evolution. We have all these people, including me, talking a lot about presence, and I feel that I'm right about that, of course. I know that I'm right for me, or else I wouldn't promote it so much, but I don't want to talk about being present and beat it to death so much that we avoid with a sort of toxic positivity or a false positive of pretending that you're happy when there's a lot of suffering going on. The Facebook movement, this social media where everybody puts out just good about them. Maybe they have low self-esteem, so they want that validation from others. So then they raise the bar and put peer pressure on other people to try to be happy, and that means we're successful. And it's a lot of bullshit, really. But we have to deal with a shadow self, and I got indoctrinated in a good way in this from my friend Leah. She was the architect for me that introduced me to shadow work, what it is, why it's important. So we can get into shadow work in another video, but don't be careful about being so present that it's a false positive because we're suffering, but we've put on a smile for others, because the more we mask the shadow, it'll just grow bigger and bigger as we avoid it. So I thought that was interesting. Transformation begins with accountability through acceptance. I really like that. Dishonoring starts with dishonoring self. God, that's so true. We dishonor others because we dishonor ourselves. If we stop doing that to others, it's because we've stopped doing it to ourselves. It's all about us. Know thyself. Very good quote. Not to be confused with narcissism, by the way. Shame and guilt is necessary to evolve. Like all negative emotions we feel. Yes, we have the freedom of choice, but we can always choose to feel good. But if we aren't equipped with the tools to truthfully choose, we present that false positive. There's gurus out there that make it sound real simple. They got a lot of money. Their bellies are always full. They're very comfortable with their lifestyles. They don't have to worry about their basic necessities being met. So they just talk about, well, you have the freedom to choose. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, you feel negative today? Well, you have the freedom to choose otherwise. Listen, that's great, and it's true, of course. But the reality is there's people that don't have the tools and resources to know how to choose effectively. It's an artificial choice. Yeah, I'm happy. The Facebook movement. All smiles, but deep down, I'm scared to death. So I really like that, that sort of outlook. Acknowledge self-judgment in order to work through it. And if we do that, again, we won't judge others. Funny how that works. This is about accountability of self all day here. This is about interpersonal relationships and marriages. Responding to injustices by being offended is a wound. So if your spouse is, well, that's a you problem, or coming at you, trying to involve you in their trauma, and you're like, that's a you problem. Well, that's great, but don't be offended by that. And to move further with that, if you know it's not your issue, you would feel empathy and sympathy towards someone instead of being offended, which can easily turn to resent. In relationships, the offended can turn into an unhealthy codependent. So true. Judging the other person as being hurt or wounded makes us feel better and can justify that codependency. You got to be careful with that. You don't have to like everyone, but if you allow them to be them, you'll dissolve judgment of them. God, I've been through that. This happens when you stop judging yourself. Stop dishonoring yourself at the deepest level to replace judgment with dignity for yourself and for others. The divine feminine thrives in this universal cooperation. Basic human decency. Don't put your own emotions onto others in an unhealthy way. God, I love this gene key. Gene key 22. I mean, it's so true. Anyway, I wanted to share that. I'll probably be reading through this again. And I don't know, I've been through a lot of this. I still apply some of this. And it was just really cool. So have a great rest of your day, whatever you're up to.